All right, let's start another sprint takeover a little bit early. This is from James's World on Eras. Please can I have some guidance, as I don't know what to add to make this more complete article. The old world started and ended on an event that leads to a downturn in technology. Oh, turn that off. Let's turn on the timer. No, not that one. Length of eras. The old world started and ended in a. I thought it was old. I thought I had to say that to make it clear why the old world was so long. Okay, so let's just take a more look at this. Come on, zoom in. Okay, nothing in the side columns. Okay. Companion to timeline. Okay. Yep. Have a good one. Oh, oncoming Saturday. I'll see you Saturday. The Old World is an era that started when the Roman Empire ended in the British Isles. The era ended in 2055 CE because of the Great Rewind. Okay. The Between Years. 64 years. It is called the Between Years as they don't know where an era ends and another starts. No one can agree on how long the era is, but generally consensus puts the Between Years at 64 years. Between Years are regarded as a buffer period between the Old and the New World. The New World was born out of the Old World. It is called the New World for replacing the Old one due to the Great Rewind. While this era has started from the Old World ending, people are somewhat hesitant rather than hopeful for the future as they look into the past and see what they have lost. Okay, this is some interesting stuff that you have here. Okay. Well, the interesting thing is that you one choice that you've made here is in the Old World. Since you are using Earth history as a basis of this, even from the Roman Empire to the modern era, there are many eras that have been described. You have, of course, the Dark Ages, because when the Roman Empire ended, isn't that considered when the Dark Ages began? Then you have the Renaissance, then you have the Reformation, then it's just how do you want to define it? Because we have the Common Era, BCE, and the Common Era, CE, and the event that is recognized as the distinction between the before the Common Era and after the Common Era is the birth of Christ, and that is the distinguishing factor between the two. So it's an interesting choice here that you have taken out all of the other eras. Are there no more Dark Ages? Is there no more Renaissance? You need to define what you mean by era, because in Western civilization, the era is defined before and after Christ. And if that is and like the so and then you have the between years. And I do like how that you said no one can agree how long this era is, but general consensus is at 64 years. Just because no one agrees doesn't mean that you couldn't put in possible candidates of reasons why it is the 64 years. Some say this political revolutionary decrying the evils of technology, that could have been the start of the Great Rewind. Or it could have been X event where a university was destroyed, or oh, okay, the industrial age, modern age. Yeah, that's true. Those are um yeah, that is a good point. Dark, yeah, an age. Yeah, I guess you're right. An age is shorter than an era. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I stand corrected. So, Dark Ages, Industrial Age, Renaissance. Man, I have a something on my eyelid. Sorry. So, that's a good point. Um, but the funny thing is, when did people start using the Common Era? Um, it, no one really knows that an era has happened until history determines that it's happened. This is a long-term perspective. I mean, how many years after into Christianity did it take for the Common Era to become common? Until, I mean, I think it's a couple hundred years. I mean, maybe even to the 300 or 400 years until the Council of Nicaea did it take. I saw it more like a bookshelf. The old world is a collection of books that made up eras of which you speak, like the Dark Ages. Okay. Right. Well, I know, but the Common Era still correlates with the BC and AD that was used. They just renamed it. So, the things that I would recommend adding are events that are candidates for distinction between these two eras. And is it an era at all? Because you bring up some really good points here, like age, industrial age, modern age, the dark age. Is this the a different age? Is it truly a different era? You know, in the United States, there used to be financial crises used to be called panics. It was a panic that would cause the run on the banks. Well, when another panic began in 1920, they didn't want to call it a panic, so they called it a depression. They called it the Great Depression. So here you may have the beginning of a new dark age. You could call it something different. You could call, the Twilight Age. No, that's copyright. That's avoid that. You could call it some cloudy age. Sounds dumb, but you can just think about those. So I think maybe the better thing, as we've talked about ages versus eras, maybe think about what you want to do about that. The evening age. Well, I always think, yeah, the um, hmm. I do like, but see, I like the great rewind is a really good term that you've used. But that's, you know, you don't, yeah, you have the great rewind here. Retrenchment. Retrenchment is a word that comes to mind, where people come back to a simpler time out of necessity. So I guess the decision you should make is: was the Great Rewind okay? Okay, what resulted was the regression. You could call this the age of regression. You know, that's a good word that you're already using right there. The age of regression, the regression age. So, anyway, I don't know if I was very helpful during this. Because I guess we're spending more of the time arguing about, not arguing, discussing, is it truly an era or is it an age? Hmm. So, sorry about that. Old world. Yeah, and yeah, flesh out the old world and what leads to its end. You do have some good information on the Great Rewind page that you've talked about, and you have here, but people make events. Even when we think about the different eras that we have, Julius Caesar, Da Vinci, Christ, Muhammad, or political entities like the Ming Dynasty, like the Roman Empire, the Egyptian Empire. These are definitions of different. These are ideas that are different, that set eras apart. Hmm. So, all right. Sorry that wasn't as helpful as I would have hoped. Best of luck, and let's